Hello there. It's 3:04 in the morning. Yesterday I had a severe amount of pain, like crazy amount of pain. Um, and I seem to have woken up at 2 a.m. with a crazy amount of pain in my legs. I don't understand why. Uh, but I gave my scooter away to the dude in the wheelchair next door. It was funny. It's like it's always funny when you do something nice and selfless for somebody who's evil and they can't grasp it. It's just mind blowing to them. He's like, why are you doing this? It's like I don't understand. You know, because he knows the concept of doing something good to make yourself feel good is just alien to some people. So that was kind of funny watching him trying to work his mind around that. And he's like, I feel like I'm taking advantage of you. And I said, dude, it's not exactly a kingly gift. The thing don't work. It's brand new. It has value. You have to get online probably and register it to get a warranty. And you have to do all this crap. And I just don't want to do it because I'm concentrating on my impending knee surgery and whether I'm going to be able to walk or not. And I'm just going to buy a new one that does work. But he is just like confused. He want to laugh. Evil people are funny, man. They don't get the whole concept of being good for goodness sake, so that, doing something selfless, when there's nothing in it for you but a good feeling. It's funny as hell. It's like to do with the boat. There always has to be something in it for him. You know, he doesn't understand that concept of like doing good so you can feel good. You know, that felt good. Because he was all excited about it because you don't get to go nowhere either. I don't know why he hasn't saved up for one of those things or tried to go through medical channels to get like a thing, but he's stuck in a wheelchair. I've seen him try to walk before and it's not pretty. His legs are all shrunken up and messed up and stuff. I got the phone. I got the microphone like up real close, like confidential, like, you know, but it's just very, I don't need my sleep disturbed. But I was in such an insane amount of physical pain yesterday. And I am again tonight. So I don't know what I want to do. I was trying to, it's so stupid. It's like all I'm trying to do is call one hospital to transfer my records of various tests I had to this other hospital, right? So I'm on the phone with them, and they're like, well, what we can do is we can upload your information as of blah, blah, blah when you had the MRI. And until a certain time, I don't remember what time they said, probably when I had my knee unsuccessfully drilled with holes. And we can upload that to the Cleveland Clinic server, and then they can have access to it. See, otherwise I have to either have to take a cab or humble myself and ask one of these assholes that call themselves family to take me into the hospital and go into radiology and sit there and probably spend $10 to put it on a disc, on a on a literal disc, which I think is becoming outmoded anyway. And it's like, it's so stupid. It's the computer age, man. Just send the information electronically. I thought about it and I was like, well, maybe it's that I have, when I go in person, I have to show ID so I'm not stealing someone's medical records. That's the only thing I could think of. Why is this so hard? So not only was I in a lot of pain yesterday, but I spent like hours on the phone trying to make this happen. Then I finally, get to the point where I call Cleveland Clinic in Medina, their Medina office, and I can't get a hold of excuse me, I can't get a hold of Lisa Green, who I guess was the person I needed to talk to, who is the secretary to Dr. Joseph Scarcella, which is the guy that I'm going to see. And she just won't call me back. I'm leaving messages. I'm just spending like my whole afternoon waiting for her to call, and then I call again, and I'm just getting answering machine messages and stuff. And so I have to do that today. Then I go in on Friday. You know, today is a Tuesday, so then I have to go in on Friday. And this is like D-Day for me, man. If I can't figure out something with this knee and some way to reduce this level of pain, I just keep running into this expression: a good death is hard to find. And it really is if you think about it. You know, I mean, my alternatives are not all that great. And people don't seem to like me, but I wonder if I could piss them off enough to kill me. I hear that Gandhi just pissed enough people off that he just started walking around without bodyguards to get himself killed. But, you know, I can't. If my life becomes too unlivable, you know, I have researched this particular medication that that's how most overdoses happen, is it represses your respiratory system. And I found this drug that's really good for that, and I manipulated my doctor into giving it to me, and I just don't take it, so I just got like, God, I haven't counted. I got like 8, 9, well, I got at least 8 bottles of it. I don't know, they're just piling up. I never take them. I got them prescribed to me as a sleeping pill. And they're going to make me sleep all right if it comes down to living like this. You know, I kind of worry about my brother because he doesn't really take even the death of one of his pets that's ancient very well. And, you know, that's the only reason I'm alive is for social responsibility. But a good death is hard to find. And, suicide's not a very good death. I've seen it before. Like I've seen a lot of things in life. Up close and personal, you might say. But yeah, I don't know what happens, you know. I don't understand what happens with the uptick in the pain level and what that was about, but that was like unbearable yesterday. And then I took 10 milligrams of Valium and mixed it with gabapentin about 11 in the morning. Then was like half awake. And I had texted the guy and I said, "Hey man, you want my scooter?" Because he lives right next door. Literally, the door over. And he's like, I'll be coming over later. And I was like, not loud. I spend most of my time in the bedroom. But it was just fun watching him being confused by a selfless act. Evil people are funny. They really are, man. They just don't get it. But you know, I tried to explain to him. I was like, you know, that'll give me a feeling of satisfaction. He said, well, he's all, you know, excited. He's like, well, I'm gonna get it working, and I'm gonna be riding around on it. You'll see me riding around on it. And I said, well, then I'll know I did something good if I see you riding around on it. And he was like, I explained to him like, it only costs $700, and he's like, but that's $700. He's like, you know, he knows we're not really friends. He's, you know, I'm like, yeah, it was $700 I never expected to see before. I loaned it to a guy, and I never expected to get it back. And he's like, oh, that helped him wrap his mind around it a little bit. That shit was funny. That's the microphone picking up me itching my ear. That's very rude. But I'm like this is intolerable levels of pain to be in, and I gotta get that knee fixed, man. That's all there is to it, and I gotta be able to walk around, because that's how I used to cope with my pain levels, was walking around. But this disease is getting worse and worse. And that knee's been fucked up for 4 years, as you probably already have heard me say many times, which has greatly contributed to the destruction of my more heavily CRPS affected leg. And yeah, well, that might seem like a weird thing to somebody, that video where I said I don't want family, but I really don't, you know. If people cause you grief all the time and aggravation and don't understand you, it's like is there something written in stone that I have to hang around them? If they take your property and they destroy it, or they not destroy it, they neglect it, and then they can try to, you know, sell it for you, but they try to sell your boat with a foot in the water, with a foot of water in the bottom of it, because they don't even care enough about you to put $900 in your pocket, and $100 in their pocket. You know, well, maybe he's just not well. I think what it is these people aren't well emotionally. I know that's the pot calling the kettle black, since I'm talking about a good death is hard to find. But I don't know. What point is there to life if it's nothing but abject suffering? And this isn't benzo stuff, this is the CRPS stuff. Because the benzo stuff's like, it's done, really. I mean, I'm just taking the volume right now. I'll drop that stuff like way down. I think I showed you on my chart. Some days one day I took 0. Another day I would take 5. It's like, that's a whole different ball game than Xanax. You can't do that shit with Xanax and just skate. But volume's pretty, that's the whole point of it, I guess. Volume is pretty easy to ditch. You can like go up and down with volume, and there's very little consequence, at least for me. But the pain levels are off the charts, as bad as I've ever known them. And yeah, hey, only the good die young. I'm not young, I'm 51, but sure would quit screwing around and try to help me. But the medical community and me, it's always been an unhappy marriage, so I don't expect, you know, maybe this one time it'll work, you know. Sort of like getting married for the 9th time, thinking this will be the time, but you never know. I'm determined to give it one last try, to get my knee cut and cleaned out, or whatever they want to do with it. And there will be some torturous rehab after that. I'll probably have to learn how to walk again. Actually, for the 4th time, because you have to walk when you're a little baby. You have to learn how to walk. And then I had to learn how to walk after I had a spinal tumor pulled. And I had to learn how to walk after I had spinal reconstruction when I was 18 and had CRPS. I had to learn how to walk. So this would be the 4th time I had to learn how to walk again after the surgery on my knee. I am not no Superman. I cannot endure, you know, Everybody, as Cool Hand Luke taught us, everybody has a breaking point. And, yeah, I imagine these videos are getting pretty depressing, but this is getting pretty hard. And it's like, it's funny to me because, like, the benzo crisis for me is really over. It's like once I'm done with the Xanax, because you have to understand, at least everybody's like an individual with this stuff. And with Xanax, man, with me, I mean, there's a big difference to me between a half a milligram and a quarter milligram of Xanax. You know, just going, but because it's so much more powerful than volume. I'm just gonna speak for myself. For me, it's like I had no trouble when I was having good days taking 5 milligrams of Xanax instead of the 30 that I'm taking now. I have no trouble like doing that. And if I wasn't in intense, horrific amounts of pain, I wouldn't have no trouble doing that again. So I was worried about that because of my experience with Xanax. That, like, you know, I don't know about this up and down thing. It didn't work out too good with the Xanax, you know. But I'm sure there are people on here thinking that, oh yeah, your pain level is being increased by this yo-yoing thing you're doing with volume. Volume ain't shit, man. To me, it ain't nothing. That's why I'm a billion pills ahead on it. Is you know, it's not the same thing. Once I ditched the Xanax in January, which should have happened like I said, like 8 months before, I was taking a quarter milligram of Xanax a day in April and just being fairly miserable, but surviving. You know, it was rough. Don't get me wrong, it was rough. If you quit taking a milligram of Xanax in March, and by the time April rolls around, you drop 75%, you're going to feel it. That was, at least for me, that was rough. But as you know the story, I had to up dose because I had an oral surgery in a place I'd never been before. And I'm like, I can't do this in withdrawal, you know, where you got like the full withdrawal C6 symptoms and stuff like that. It's like I can't do that, so I have to up dose. I don't know how this is gonna go. And they gave me shit for pain medication, so I was like, I up dosed for like, I think 3 days, and you can, at least I can't do that with Valium, or with the Xanax. I couldn't do that. It took me like a month to get over that. That's what happens when your doctor doesn't work with you; he works against you. But yeah, the Xanax thing's done. I guess it's funny. I put like the Xanax pills that I had, rather than throwing them out, I put them like in a plastic bag, and I put them in the bottom of an oatmeal container of like generic oatmeal. I'm like, nobody's gonna find them in a generic oatmeal container. Nobody's gonna rifle through here and just, you know, they're not the king's diamonds or the queen's diamonds or whatever. Nobody's gonna rifle through here if they rob me, which I'm always home anyway. Maybe that's why I want to lose my temper and stuff with drug dealers, is I want to find a good death. I don't know. I heard, I guess there was a big fight here, and I heard some mention of a truck with a black guy in it. And that just happened to be the shade of the individual that was the drug mule that was out there. And I was like, this was the guy in the wheelchair talking about it. He said, you hear that big drunken fight yesterday? I think somebody moved out of here. And then there was a truck out there with a black dude driving it. And I didn't ask him to describe the truck or anything like that, but I was like, you know, It's not like that would be. There's not like there's a scarcity around here of black dudes driving trucks, but I would go out there, see if I can get myself killed. Killed that way. Then people would be like, wow, he was a brave person. Confronting drug dealers and stuff like that. It wouldn't be like, wouldn't be like me leaving a note. And, because I had an uncle who died, and the way I heard it, it's my Uncle Jimmy, who I never talk about very much, because I don't really know that much about him. I knew he was a bit of a pervert, but that just went for that side of the family. But he died, and they didn't find him for like days, and they had to take him out in pieces. Is the way I heard the story told. I'd much rather get shot by a drug dealer, killed that way. Yeah, a good death is hard to find. But we're not there yet. Still gonna go through the torture of existence. And you have to understand, my excretory functions don't work properly, which I don't like to talk about. But yesterday I didn't eat anything but an egg sandwich like late in the day, and I wasn't busy yesterday. I was just suffering, and I gave away my scooter. And I just ate I ate like a 5-egg omelet. I got hungry. Like, I don't know, late in the day. Like 7 o'clock at night, I was like, man, I want to eat me a big old 5-egg omelet. And then I haven't eaten anything since. But if life gets to the point where you can't do the simple things that you want to do, and it's kind of different when you have an incurable disease. I mean, what are my options here? Being doped up out of my mind, where I'm slurring my speech and shit. I noticed that I was trying to read Eric Fromm, not Man for Himself, that's a different one of his books, but Escape from Freedom. Trying to read it, and I'm slurring my speech and stuff, just from mixing gabapentin and Valium. Those aren't even real pain pills. Gabapentin is supposed to help with neuropathy, which it doesn't do shit for neuropathy. But I take it because you mix it with the Valium, and it puts your head in a weird place. Then you're like, well, I hurt like a motherfucker, but I don't care that much about it. You don't care as much about it. That's what I found out about opiates, when I had the screw drilled in my head. It's like, it puts you in a place, it takes away the emotional aspect of pain, where you're like, God damn, that hurts like a motherfucker. Whew. I can feel every turn of that screwdriver. Whereas, it takes away the emotional component to it. I guess that's why they say, like, opiates, and they even say that about benzos, that you end up with deadened emotions. But that never really happened for me. When I was taking benzos is when I 12, 27, 17, and I was emotional as a motherfucker, man. I was all full of emotions, so I never reached a point where I was taking so much of it that I was deadening my emotions. Yeah. But I just kind of wanted to report briefly that I did have myself a spot of fun. It always is fun doing something for selfish or evil people. Just watching it, because it's just so mind-blowing to them. It's like, what is in this for this guy? Why is he doing this? He appears to be a heterosexual. I'm in a wheelchair. Why would he be nice to me? Why would he do this? It was just funny to me. There, when I said I had the marker cane, you can kind of see it right there. I've always had this scar. It's about that big on my forehead. And it was like right at the base of my hairline. I always had massive amounts of hair, so it never mattered. That's my mark of Cain. And that's why I titled that Bad video, The Mark of Cain and the Land of Nodlessness. Because you see, if you don't know this, when Cain got banished east of Eden, he wandered in the land of Nod. Now everybody knows the John Steinbeck novel East of Eden. It's a very peculiar novel. I think I listened to it a short time ago. It's basically about a sociopathic woman who happens to be the mother of this guy. There's like two brothers in it. I don't even remember it that well. I didn't really care for the book all that much. I mean, for Steinbeck, I like The Grapes of Wrath. I think it's overrated. Cannery Row is just a shit, period. Just an awesome book. And Of Mice and Men, of course. It's just one of them things like, it's so familiar to people that they don't understand the brilliance of it. And, yeah, how wonderful it is. Just because it's like so over referenced and overdone. It's like, if you think about it, A Christmas Carol is a fucking brilliant story about redemption and conscience, and you know, it's a wonderful piece of work. But who the hell ever wants to hear that again? They just ran it into the ground too much. Anyway, I'm hoping that the volume I took before I started this video will kick in and I will be able to sleep. I don't need my sleep schedule disrupted this badly. I've been up since 2 o'clock in the morning. I woke up, I went to sleep at like 9 or 10, and I woke up at 11, and then I went back to sleep, and I woke up at 2, and I'm like, I'm pretty wide awake. So, yeah. I don't know. Maybe that was offensive to people that I said that I don't want family, but I don't want family. Family has destroyed my life. Why the hell would I want something that destroyed my life? Loyalty to my family has destroyed me. I just thought that was what you were doing, what you were supposed to do. A lot of the Christian ethics put me in the situation that I'm in now, that I follow, which certain, without it, I'd probably be an evil person though. Like, you know, there's some of that Christian ethics stuff that's fun, like giving away scooters and being, repaying evil with good and stuff. But there's other parts of that Christian ethic that doesn't make any sense. Because there's plenty of people out there that are just waiting to take advantage of a good Christian fellow. It's like, you know, that's just, you know, I always reference the Comanche idea of compassion being weakness to be exploited. And there's plenty of people out there that exploit you. And like, I realized that about the household that I moved in close to here, that I'm just a bank to them. I'm just a source of cash. They don't really give a shit about me one way or another. And that's my family over there. But that was the people that I answered the phone and said, what the fuck do you want? You know, that's the boat guy. And, you know, I'm just like I'm just a ready source of cash to them. Just somebody they can borrow money off of. You know, they're Apaches. You know. Other people in my family, though, they're pretty okay people. Maybe 3, I don't know. But as a family unit, as a get together, I don't see any point to that. I used to like to get together when we would play games and stuff. And they have all kind of cool games now that we never dreamed of when we were kids that are like socially interactive. I can't think of the names of them, but like where you read a card and you finish the sentence, and that's that part of the family get together was fun. But you couldn't have any frank discussions with people because that just leads to fights and stuff. Because yeah, openness, openness, and family to get-togethers usually don't work too good, as far, in my experience. So, but anyways, I'm gonna get off here because I'm saturating. I'm reaching the saturation point as far as these video log things, or whatever they're called. I hope the pain recedes and I'm not in this much pain. I mean, I don't know how I can handle it or what I can do about it. You know, I don't know what to do. It's a terrible spot to be in when you don't know what to do. And got the bad heart, you got the bad knee, you got the bad emotional history, and you have people just waiting out there like parasites that waiting to take advantage of you. And they're not necessarily evil people, I don't think. I don't think of them as evil people. It's just the nature of the beast. That you're just something to be used. I realized that pretty early on when I moved in here. It's like that whole selfless, doing stuff for people because it makes you feel good. Not everyone is like that. It's like I remember, this is so long ago. I moved into this neighborhood like 8, 9 years ago, but early on, I asked, I was strapped for finding a ride to the grocery store, and I asked the boat guy for a ride to the grocery store, and he's just giving me a bunch of shit about it. Considering what I've done for him in the past, And I told him just all the parking places were taken up on the road, and I told him to park like 3 houses down in the snow. And then, he let me carry my groceries like that long distance. I said, I'm just going to pile them out in the snow. And he's like, he's eating a sandwich. And he's like, you want me to help you with that? And I could tell he didn't really want to do shit. And I'm like, no, I don't want you to help me with that. Just drop me off. And I'm like, that is the last time I'm ever asking that dude for a ride to the grocery store. Now, I've asked him for rides to the emergency room because ambulance rides, I got good insurance now that covers the ambulance rides, but the ambulance rides used to cost me like $100 odd. And he doesn't complain about taking me to the emergency room. But it's not something I made a habit of. Like, it's not like I was always asking him to give me rides here, to give me rides there. But there's people in this world that just don't find any satisfaction in doing good for other people just for the sake of being good. He's the guy that, like, I was trying to talk him into, I think I was in a pinch. And I was like, well, it's either a cab ride or I could ask this guy. I was like, well, he was like coming up with a million excuses. And then I was like, well, there's $20 in it for you. Suddenly, yes, I'll do it. So many instances like that. There's too many to count. But no, I don't want no family. I don't. I would just be happy if I wasn't in. If my pain was at a level to where I could think clearly, because I enjoy my mind and I enjoy reading. But it hasn't been there for a couple of days. And You know, I don't see any purpose. You know, I've watched people that I've loved suffer pointlessly. And, yeah, it's not going to be me. No. But if I have to find a lousy death of using pills to put me out of my misery, it's so funny they euthanize animals all the time, but, you know, and then the people that are in the psychiatry and or you know, veterinarians, people that are in like medical fields, because that is a medical field, you know, veterinary schools, they have no trouble putting down a sick animal. But, you know, there's a whole taboo thing with people. It's like, no, it's wrong to put someone out of their misery. It's like, it's much better to have them suffer for, you know, the better part of a decade, like I've watched other people suffer, where their life has no quality and no meaning. You know, there's still some kind of like ethical dilemma that people have over that. And then there's the people that get attached to people that can't handle letting go of them. You know, what's that part I can understand, you know. Yeah, that part of it I can understand. Like right now, I can't even use my mind the way I want to. You know, I was going to reference some Jewish expression from the Talmud about, that was redundant, about how each man contains all of mankind. Therefore, the death of one diminishes all, and all that. But I just kind of think of it as a selfish act. If when my mom died and suffered horribly for years and years, it's like if she wanted to go and I wouldn't let her, I would consider that like the height of selfishness. And she might have reached the point where, you know, sometimes you reach the point where it's out of your hands. You don't have any control of it anymore. And then you're just trapped, and like trapped in that prison of flesh, suffering like she was. And still, people in the family didn't want to let her go. They still wanted to believe that some sort of miracle was going to happen and she was going to turn around and things were going to be different. But this is my reality. I can't be fake. I can't pretend that this isn't where I'm at right now. And you can diagnose me if you want, and say, well, you know, this is just, you've only been off your Xanax since January. This is some kind of benzo thing, but really, I don't think so. You're welcome to disagree with me and be like, well, you're just depressed right now. You know, you're just going through a wave, and everybody has these thoughts or whatever. But, you know, talk to me when you've had CRPS for, I think, 33 years now. And talk to me when you have to self-catheterize and you can barely walk without falling over. And you can't wear a shirt. And you're in pain all the time. And you can't, and your mind that's the part I don't like, is my mind is muddy and unclear, where you're not sharp anymore. And I wasted that time, you know. I feel like I wasted that time. I did have the internet, but I did not do what I'm attempting to do now, which is read books. I did write books when I was in my when I reached 30 years old, and I think from the ages of like maybe 29 to 33, I did write. So I did use my mind when my mind was sharp and alert. And I just looked over there for a spider. I don't do well with spiders. I saw something move out of the corner of my eye, but I think it was just a mote on my eye. But yeah, I guess I should have used the internet. I don't know. I should have used the internet for this kind of thing when my mind was clear and when I was a sharp fellow. So I used to be a pretty bright guy, and now that I'm a total wreck, it's the only reason why I started using the internet is because at first, like I said, at first it was because this fellow you know, didn't understand what CRPS was, so I wanted to show people what that was or what that was like. And then this guy was saying I wasn't a writer. He said, quit calling yourself a writer. And I said, well, you should probably hear something that I wrote before you decide. You know, it's like never seeing somebody's paintings and saying you're not a painter. You know, if you see what I wrote and you think it's garbage and you're not a writer and you think I belong in the Stephenie Meyer, I think her name is, class. I mean, did she hit the jackpot with that Twilight series or what? I never wrote a book before, but the first book I ever wrote has made me a billionaire. And it's just a retread of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. She's like, all these ideas just popped in my head. Yeah, you watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer like every other freaking preteen girl back in the day. Oh, I watched the show. So, yeah. And then it was kind of funny that Stephen King was like, I think he was comparing J.K. Rowling, who writes the Harry Potter books, and I think her name's Stephenie Meyer, that wrote the Twilight books. And believe me, I gave the first Twilight book a chance, man. I listened to that thing for 4 hours. Okay, so it's not like I wasn't like that kid who said I wasn't a writer. I gave it a chance. You know, 4 hours of my time was wasted listening to that book. And Stephen King said, I think his direct quote was very blunt. He said, the difference between J.K. Rowling and Stephenie Meyer, or whatever the name of the author is that wrote the Twilight series is, J.K. Rowling can write. That's as blunt can be. And I'm sure that'll offend a lot of people because obviously if she's a billionaire from it, the Twilight series has a lot of fans. So, you know, there was some funny videos on there that cracked me up from like preteen girls saying that Stephen King is just jealous of her success. It's like Stephen King is the most successful author of all time. He might not be the greatest writer of all time, but he's the most successful writer of all time by, like, I don't know, a mile. And he's jealous of somebody who wrote a retread of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So that shit's funny. Yeah, that's what's sad about this is I enjoy my mind and I enjoy being me. And I find life amusing, like giving scooters to evil people and just watching them be confused by a selfless act. But, yeah. But when the pain level gets so bad, you can't enjoy anything. Like, I've been wanting to go fishing, but if somebody asked me to go fishing the last couple of days, it would have been a no. Because there's no enjoyment in, you know, suffering reaches a certain level. There's not much enjoyment for anything. Doesn't mean things aren't funny still, but it gets to the point of unbearability. And anyways, this is 44 minutes. That's long enough. And I don't imagine, you know, with me you get honesty anyway. You know, maybe that's a rare commodity these days. But I know these videos have probably been very depressing lately. Now that I'm stuck in this, I guess I'll just start using the word. It still feels more like doldrums to me, but now that I've been stuck in this wave for like ever, um, you know, I imagine these videos are pretty depressing. But with me, you will get honesty. You know, sometimes more honesty than you bargained for. Though I try to keep the more gross and unsavory parts of my existence to myself just out of politeness. It's like a head on a ruined body. But that's what I was thinking when I was working on reading the Sane Society. It's like I would be happy just to not feel anything. I mean, I would let go of, I would hate to let go of any kind of sexual pleasure. I mean, who would? Who wouldn't? But I would just like not to feel anything physically, good or bad, and just be an intellect, just be a mind in a jar. And, yeah, because I do find things amusing. And I think it's a consequence of being a good person. It's the reason why I always say to be good for goodness sakes, is because it's its own reward. You know, when I was younger and stupider, I used to think of it as money in the bank. When I was a Christian, I was like, well, if I'm good, then God's going to pay me back in heaven. And, you know, my reward will be great. You should think of it like that, you know. But really, you get the reward here in this earth for being good. Because you get the good feelings that go along with it. You get the satisfactions that go along with it, of being a nice person and a good person. And you get the good night's sleep. I still made enemies. I mean, you're always going to make enemies in this world. So I still have some drug dealer enemies floating around out there somewhere. Though I'm sure they've moved on to other enemies and other dramas. And they probably don't even remember me. I'm just another person they ran afoul of in a long list. But I don't think it's kind of probably hard to forget somebody that faced you down with a machete. I mean, I wouldn't forget that. I had a gun put to my head when I was very young. And I'm talking, this would have been, wow, 35 years ago. I never forgot it. It seems to be raining rather heavily outside. And I don't really feel like talking anymore. So I feel like maybe I can watch a baseball game and go to sleep for a few hours. And then call the Cleveland Clinic Medina office and try to get that straightened around as far as my medical records, so I can get some treatment for my leg, give it one more last go. But I'm not living my life in a wheelchair. I'll take a bad death over that. I've suffered enough. And, you know, if I hate to do that to the few people that will miss me, but it would be selfish of them not to understand why. But they are self-absorbed people, so they'll probably take it pretty hard. I will laugh at it, but you know, I'll go out laughing about it. But they will take it pretty hard. But hopefully it won't come down to that. And you know, the Cleveland Clinic. Oh, it's the Cleveland Clinic. I've been to the Cleveland Clinic like twice. They don't have magical little leprechauns there, or wizards with hats, and little beakers of magic elixirs. that just fix you right up. They don't even have Popeye spinach that you can eat and suddenly become strong. But I'm going to go to the Cleveland Clinic and I'll get my surgery and we'll see how it comes out and see if I can be rehabbed even with the CRPS. If I'm not walking though, if I can't be independent, I'd much rather be dead. And I don't have no problem with that at all. I've had 51 years and I've known a lot of people that had 21 years. There's kids. A lot of people that never get to understand the things that I understand and got to see life and at least understand what it is and what it's about. So I would still consider myself lucky to have had these 51 years. Though the rehab could take a long time, so it could be 52 years. I don't know. You know, you never know. Like that's another thing that can keep you going. Is like, I never know how this stuff's gonna turn out because it could turn out to be like a turning point in my life where I'm like, wow, they can help me with the CRPS too, and it's like, wow, now I can walk and I'm in less pain and I could be like reborn physically. I've already had my spiritual rebirth when I was 20. I could be like reborn physically. I could be like, I could have my big bulging super mega brain back with all the many things that I've learned and all my creative powers. I could have that back instead of just being in so much pain. I was in so much pain yesterday. I wanted to find out how much money I had in my bank, and I couldn't think of my bank card number to punch it into the phone to access my account because my mind was too fucked up from pain. Which, come to think of it, I gotta do that. I gotta find out how much money I got in the bank. But it is what it is. And I had my chance, and I got to find out who I was. A lot of people never get to find out who they were in life. Never, and I got to find out that I was a writer, and that's what I was put on this earth to do. And I didn't find it out until I was 30, but I found it out by God. But a lot of people, I think, go through life and they never uncover their true selves. And they never find out exactly who they are. And I did. So, I'd be happy with passing. And if it becomes a logical choice, I would much rather live. I find life very amusing. I was cracking my ass up on the inside watching that guy's reaction. He's like, why are you doing this? Well, I don't know, because it feels good to do something nice for somebody because you're in a wheelchair and you never get to go anywhere, and now you'll have a mobility scooter if you can get this thing working. It might only need a part or two, but I don't feel like fucking with it. I'll just buy another one. It's like the confusion on his face was priceless. I enjoyed the hell out of that. Why would anybody do this? We're not really even friends. Why would you do something? Why? It feels good, stupid. It feels good to do something nice for somebody. That would do my. You know what that would feel like to see that guy. I've been here. He's been here for 7 years. I've never seen him do anything but get into a car to go to medical appointments or take his garbage out on his wheelchair. That's the only thing I could do. Now, if he has that mobility scooter and gets it up and running, man, he can go truck around down the street. He can get some independence and do his own shopping. And just go outside, move around, talk to the neighbors, But being a not particularly nice person, he doesn't think that way. That somebody could derive satisfaction just not even being friends with them, but just seeing them enjoy themselves more, just seeing them have those opportunities. To for social interaction. He did tell me once. He said we were talking about friends, and he said, "How many people do you see leaving here, dude?" He said, "I'm not exactly loaded down with friends, but he could go and he could ride around and talk to the neighbors and stuff." And yeah, that gave me a great deal of satisfaction. And I'm being redundant as usual at this point, merely because I do not want to go back to my hideous existence while I'm talking and thinking of things to say, even if they are things I have already said in 5 or 6 different ways. It means I'm out of my body for a little while, and now I have to go be plunged back into Tartarus, into the burning abyss of neuropathy, aches and pains, cramps, hypersensitivity, bloating in the stomach, and all the various hideous sensations I have to go through. But my mind is free. So, yeah, that's why I like to spend time talking and thinking, doing things with my brain. Gets me out of my body, at least to an extent. Anyways, I wish you well. I'm sorry for being such a depressing chap these days, but things not going well, and hey, it is what it is. And if you listen to this, I guess thank you for listening to something that's so damn depressing. And thank you for following my story. And I'm going to try to hang in there, and we'll see how this comes out. It may come out to the good. It may not. As some book or another says, it rains upon the just and the unjust. So, flip a coin. It could come out either way for me. I'll hang around and find out, that viewing my past history, you could always say, maybe it's time that you just got a little lucky in life, and things just worked out for him for once. I mean, after all, I just bought a scooter, and we just had a week of 70s here, and I've been trapped in the house forever with Stampy and Stampy Jr. above me, and I was looking forward to getting out and about, and my scooter don't work. That's me in a nutshell. Alrighty, goodbye.